This is one product that has staying power, and it all started with a man and his dog and those pesky burrs that stick to creatures and clothing. 70 years later, Velcro Companies has more than 35,000 products on the market, used on everything from diapers to home goods to machinery. The American branch of this international giant is right here in New England. And tonight, we'll hear from the CEO about a company that is all about making and keeping connections.
Good evening and welcome to CEO Corner. I'm NECN Business Editor Peter Howe. This is one company that is all about getting you into sticky situations in a good way. Of course, we're talking about the Velcro companies, and over the years, people have found all kinds of uses for this famous hook and loop fabric technology, including David Letterman. You probably remember this if you're old enough. His skit while dressed in a Velcro suit still has people laughing decades later. Most uses, of course, far more practical than what we're about to see Uncle Dave do here. Sticks to the wall. Company officials say Velcro products actually make 10 billion connections like that every year. Joining us now to talk about Velcro and a great set of stories behind the product, Fraser Cameron, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
So here's this product that we all use every day, and it's all around us, and it turns out it has this great New England connection in New Hampshire and growing in Boston.
Yep.
A lot of people didn't know about.
Yeah, you bet. I mean, the Velcro companies are really the company that everyone thought just existed in their lives, but nobody really thinks about how it gets made. We've got 1 million square feet of manufacturing in New Hampshire. We do weaving in New Hampshire. We're one of the largest employers in New Hampshire. We have a significant office here in Boston, and we love the New England connection. We never left manufacturing in the United States, and we don't need to come back because we're already here.
And so the Boston office, how does that fit into, you're obviously a global company doing business all around the world. What do you do out of Boston?
You bet. We've got a whole bunch of different services that we run out of Boston, a lot of legal, some finance. I spend a bit of my time there as well. It's all just about having a base close to manufacturing in the United States so that our executives can be in the US as well as all around the world. I spend a lot of my time traveling, but I like to get here a lot to make sure that we are innovating and developing the right products for the future.
So a big part of what is new at Velcro these days, and we have some of these right in front of us, is have been this sort of behind-the-scenes company for a long time. We see your products used in other things, and now we see Velcro as a consumer brand really growing, which I assume is a major strategic push for the company.
You bet. I mean, selling our products to folks who need them all around the world is really a focus of what we do. Consumers have great ways to use the product, whether it's cable ties, it's tidying up the desk, it's figuring out how to connect iPads to different sort of connections all around the world, all the way through to home projects. I think using hook and loop, using our Velcro products in each part of what we do is a great idea. A lot of our product sells into industry, a lot of new innovative ways to sell on a B2B basis, but great new products for consumers as well.
What are some of the upsides you see? Because you always hear from people that B2C, the margins are tough, you've got marketing challenges, a lot of noise, and that a lot of times companies are happier just sort of staying behind the scenes, have some big partners they sell to, small number of accounts. What have been some of the challenges and some of the positive things about really building up Velcro as a direct consumer brand?
Great question. I mean, for me, the most important thing is really explaining to folks what Velcro is all about as a company. And so having a consumer range and having different ways that consumers can interact with the product is a fantastic way to explain what our companies can do, what our products can do, and what they can have different ways that consumers can make amazing connections with our products. We've had a lot of different challenges. There are competitors out there that sell product. We've needed to innovate different solutions for consumers. Dealing in any retail environment is always challenging from a profitability perspective. But just really being out there with our brand, the Velcro brand, and showing people how amazing these connections can be is worth all of that energy to us.
Are you able to talk much about how big a part of the business this is? How big a part you hope it will be 3, 5, 10 years from now?
We think the business in the consumer space could double or triple. At the moment, it's about 10 to 20% of our business overall, but the opportunity is huge. In Brazil, for instance, recently we launched a consumer line. The unaided awareness of our brand is roughly the same as Coca-Cola. We should be able to sell a ton of
This is with no
product.
advertising. People already know Velcro as well as Coke.
Exactly. So folks know about our brand. They know about our products. They know what Velcro products stand for and what they do. What they don't know is the wide variety of new innovative products that do amazing connections better, differently, faster and greener than what's been done in the past.
Greener is a very interesting point. Talk some about where Velcro can replace a product with environmental benefits.
It really has a huge opportunity going forwards. If you look at, even an area like construction, everyone would say, well, how could you possibly use a Velcro branded product in construction? Well, the reality is it can be used in pretty amazing ways. If you look even at the flooring in the studio, it's held down with adhesives. If you want to pull that back up, even if it's recyclable, it's contaminated with glue and it can't be recycled. There's got to be hundreds of millions of tons of flooring that gets ripped up every year just like that. We have a flooring product that has hooks sprayed on the ground, has a loop on the bottom. You can pull that straight up and recycle the entire thing. First in the world.
That's a Velcro house soon to come. Let's go back and take a look at a few numbers about the company. Velcro, founded back in 1952 in Switzerland. Velcro USA came a few years later in 1958. The company now has more than 2,500 employees. They make more than 35,000 products, including that flooring product we were just talking about. Facilities in Europe, Asia Pacific, and the U.S., and right here in Manchester and Somersworth, New Hampshire. A lot of people obviously in New Hampshire who work there know about this. Tell us more about Manchester and Somersworth, what happens there and how it fits into the whole global picture.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, Manchester and Somersworth are two of our most important manufacturing facilities in the world. We have a lot of very interesting high technology product that's based there. We make a large volume of different products, diapers, other products. And it's part of a strategy that we have to keep manufacturing as close to the end consumer as we possibly can. That's for environmental reasons, that's for social responsibility reasons, and also for innovation reasons. We think that the northeast area is a great area for innovation. It's a great area for us to build and develop new products, to develop intellectual property, and eventually help the world's manufacturing.
So how does a plant in New Hampshire compete in a world where, I assume cost-wise, you could make this for a lot less in China, Vietnam, a whole host of other companies. How does New Hampshire stay competitive with the world in a situation like this?
One word, and that's really innovation. In our product category, it's all about a connection, and the connection needs to be truly amazing. The amount of cost that goes into that product is less important than the quality of that connection. That's all about design, it's about research, it's about innovation, and it's about staying ahead of everybody else in the field. New England's a great place to do that, and the labor disadvantage pales into insignificance compared to the innovation advantage that we can have.
Interesting. Obviously, the whole concept goes back to 1952. The story of the man out who sees the burrs getting stuck on his dog and thinks about, you could connect fabric that way. And so with a product that's, coming up 63 years old, talk about how you do and can continue to innovate with that.
It's a great question because, you sort of do think of hook and loop. A Velcro branded hook and loop is the furry stuff you have on your board shorts. And that is the product that's 63 years old. But most of the interactions you're going to have with our branded products are in places you wouldn't possibly expect them. If you own a car, it's in the seat. It's the portion of the seat that curves, and it's our product that holds that curve on. If you fly in a plane, it's holding the walls on. If you fly, it's holding the floor and it's holding your seats down. If you go to a supermarket, you buy some of the Lundberg branded rice, it's in a bag that's competing with Ziploc that's holding the bag together. Same for Hill's Science Diet for pet food, closures for bags. Our product is in places you wouldn't possibly imagine, and that's where the innovation really comes in, because those are different kinds of hook and loop that are branded Velcro. And so by having more and more different kinds of applications, diapers for instance, where folks don't even realize that we have product, that's how you stay ahead.
I remember those diapers from my kids who are now all grown up. We should go to a break. When we come back, we're going to take another look at that Letterman video and hear the story behind it, some other great Velcro videos over the years, and talk about acquisitions made by Velcro and strategy going forward. Welcome back to CEO Corner. I'm Peter Howe, talking with Fraser Cameron, CEO and president of Velcro Companies, manufacturing in New Hampshire since the 50s. Big, important, growing presence in Boston. And because it's just such great video, I want to go back to it. Probably the best advertisement ever for Velcro with David Letterman. This great stunt that he did, stupid human tricks involving Velcro. There's got to be some great backstories behind this.
Yeah, you bet. So, I mean, early on in the days of the company, the Velcro Companies, the biggest issue was to explain to people what this thing was. Now, of course, we all know what it is now. It's on, pants, it's on all sorts of different things. But this was really designed to show people what Velcro branded hook and loop could really do. They'd seen it on spacesuits. They didn't really know what that did or why, and they didn't really understand how strong it could be. There's nothing like throwing somebody at a wall to understand that the stuff sticks.
Right. And what's interesting is that people may not appreciate, and we have it in front of us, there are these different gradations of how sticky the Velcro is. And maybe I'll pass them over to me and I'll hold them up so people get a look at it. But there are...
Here's a very hooked one.
Great. And so this would be, explain to us what we're looking at and the application for this and how it would be different from the Velcro in, say, my duffel bag or...
Got it. That one's a very strong hook. So with hooks like this, you can hold a roof down during a hurricane. It's a very strong hook that will destroy itself before it undoes. And that's something that you would use for an application where you want to put it on once and you want it to stay.
Wow. And so what gives it that stickiness? Because I look at it and it, doesn't hurt my fingers to play with it. It doesn't necessarily look like it's something that stands up to a hurricane. How does it stand up to a hurricane?
Well, each hook is curved in this way. And so whenever you run your hand across it, it's never going to actually grab you. You'd have to be inside the plastic to actually be grabbed. And that's what the loop does. It's all about the plastics. It's about the geometry of the hook. It's about the strength with which it's extruded. It's about the size and width of the hook. And all of those things put together give you a unique feel when you combine it with a loop. So the two together will act in very specific ways. And we can engineer that to an incredible degree of precision for releasability, for hold down, and also for UV, other types of attributes.
So a company has something like 400 patents.
Yes.
And so how many of those go to the way it's manufactured, the way it's designed? How many are, other aspects of the Velcro product?
So there's about a third of them which go to the way that it's manufactured. If we can find a smart way to make something that's cheaper, better, faster, we'll patent that. Sometimes we keep trade secrets, but we prefer patents. About a third of them go to the way that it's applied or the shape that a particular hook has. And what that really goes to is a specific product for a specific use. And that's actually where the biggest opportunities for the Velcro companies are. And a final set of them go to other types of attributes or actual true product inventions.
Interesting. So you recently made some acquisitions of companies in Belgium, and the Velcro companies have been, doing a lot of sort of horizontal and vertical growth like that. Tell us about those and, how they fit into the overall growth trajectory of Velcro.
So the Velcro Companies really believes in growth through innovation. And to innovate, you need to have scale. If we can be a billion-dollar company that invests 5 to 10% of its revenues back into R&D, we believe that we can be the leading independent in the fastening sector. We already have a great brand, we already have a great product, we're in many different countries, but scale's important. We think that there are a number of other players out there in the hook and loop industry, together with the standard fastening industry, that coming together with us, we could have a larger R&D presence. So our strategy is all based around scale, and we are seeking to compete with our largest competitor, which we believe is undiscovered solutions. Not the 3Ms or the YKKs of the world, but simply areas where folks see bad solutions and we see revenue potential.
I think a lot of people wonder, 5 to 10% of your revenues going into R&D, how would that compare to competitors? How would that compare to similar, call it industrial products type companies?
It's high, and we like it high. For us, the real opportunities come through innovation, by changing the product, by driving it into new areas. Like, for instance, diapers. A couple of years ago, folks saw disposable diapers as pretty problematic. The adhesive on them wouldn't always work, and when they fall off, it's not a pleasant solution as a dad of two.
Or it gets stuck to your kid, and your kid cries when you go to,
Exactly. Our guys looked at that, and instead of seeing a bad solution, they saw $150 million. So they put hook and loop on the diapers and invented the concept of direct application of hook onto diapers. Today, almost everybody in the United States uses diaper with hooks. Many of them are produced by us. And most folks wouldn't really know that that's hook and loop on the diaper.
Very interesting. We should go to one more break. We've heard how he pronounces better, faster, smarter. So If you figured it out, Australia, where he's from, we're going to talk about how he got from Melbourne to McKinsey to Manchester, New Hampshire after our break. And welcome back to CEO Corner. We're talking with Fraser Cameron, CEO and President of Velcro Companies, and how great story of how an engineer from Melbourne, Australia goes to McKinsey Consulting, goes through the world of finance and winds up running this company that makes this product that's all around us every day. Tell us more about how you got from there to this.
Wow. I guess I've been very lucky in what I've been able to do. I've always had a curiosity for how things work, and I love putting two things together that seem completely implausible and winding up with something great. My educational background was engineering and law. I studied those in Australia, and I was lucky enough to be invited to the US on a Fulbright to do another legal degree. I did that at Columbia and loved it, and I never really left. I loved New York. I loved working for McKinsey. It's such a fascinating place. I met my wife, Kelly Smith, walking down the street in New York. It's another reason never to leave. And I was lucky enough then to move from McKinsey into a private equity situation where, we were building different companies from scratch often. And, there was a lot of interesting work that went into that to understand how finance works and how companies really get run. And I was lucky enough then to move from there into the Velcro Group. It's been a fascinating voyage, and if ever there was a company that put two things together, a hook and a burr, and wound up with something amazing, it's the Velcro companies.
Right, I love that number, 10 billion times a day. But you certainly hear a lot of times people who've gone through the experience of consulting, learning a little bit about a lot of different things, or same thing in finance, that when they finally get to drill down into one organization and really make a commitment to, like, what's that transition been like for you to be the CEO of a company, obviously in a very big, wide-ranging area, but to really be focused on just this one organization?
That's a great question. I mean, my experience has really been through McKinsey to wind up with a great analytic toolkit that's very useful for identifying problems. At Macquarie Bank, to really get a great financial toolkit, which is great to understand business. But what I've really learned about being at the Velcro Group of companies, it's connecting people to their goals is what's really crucial in running a company. Our tagline for Velcro is amazing connections, but what people don't always realize is that applies to our team as well. I think we have great new ways of working with different teams in different places to understand what their goals and aspirations are, to connect them directly with what the company's trying to do, and give folks line of sight to what success looks like and what they can do for the company. Being able to do that and being able to really engage the team around me is what I've learned is the most important from the Velcro company.
And I'm sort of in awe that you have to do this across so many continents, in so many places. How do you juggle that challenge?
Well, it's great fun sometimes, and sometimes it's a bit of a drag. There's nothing more exciting than working through 14, 15, 16 different cultures and trying to understand how to do that in each culture. And we're very distributed by good reason. We need to make sure that we serve all of the different markets we're in as close to the market as we possibly can. We have central structures, local execution. Really, it's been all about relying on the team, getting clear and simple messages, and then asking teams, what do they want to achieve? How does that fit in with our central architecture? And how can we make that happen?
Interesting. So you identify the passion and figure out how does that fit into Velcro's goals, rather than say, here are the goals, now go do them.
Top-down doesn't work anymore. Folks talk a lot about millennials and short attention spans and things like that, but it's a reality that in today's environment, the employers that get the best folks are the ones that people really want to work for. And what do people want to do? People want to make an impact. And the way to make an impact is to understand what's driving different folks, how to put them into a position where they can align that exactly with what the company needs and make that connection. And
I'm thinking if you're putting 5–10% of your revenues into research and development, think of Google and this idea of the 20% time, it must be so much more impactful, bad word, for you to let people pursue things they're incredibly excited about and see what that does for Velcro.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of our innovations have come about by accident. I know that that's not classic sort of innovation speak, but it works. A lot of the really best things that we've done have been folks off on their own doing interesting things, and then later they've turned out to be very useful for something else. We don't want to shut that down. We want to innovate and foster that. And we want to create a company that can continue connecting into the future.
Excellent. We should go to one more piece of great video. It's an event called Let It Rip, and if you ever opened a Velcro connection, this was 1.5 miles long. Tell us the story about what happened here.
It's our anniversary, and one thing that we really wanted to do was to show our connection to the Northeast. We wanted to show our manufacturing history, our roots. We wanted to show what that meant for the local area. So we collected a whole bunch of employees together, and we made a mile-long rip from town hall all the way into our factory.
That's so awesome. So Velcro, we live with it every day. It helps us, and we're seeing it everywhere from airplanes to floors, and now we know a whole lot more behind the story in the New England Connection. Fraser Cameron, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us for CEO Corner. We hope you're back with us again here next week on NECN. Meanwhile, we hope you'll stay with us for news, early warning weather, and much more straight ahead.